Red Bull's chief technical officer, Adrian Newey, is allegedly set to depart the squad at the end of the season, destination unknown, according to a number of respected media outlets. It's been reported initially by Germany's Automotor und Sport and then verified by BBC UK that Newey, F1's greatest ever designer, with 14 title-winning cars to his name, has informally asked to leave Red Bull despite his contract running to the end of 2025. It's understood Newey has been unsettled by recent ructions at Red Bull after team principal Christian Horner faced allegations of inappropriate, controlling behavior that he denied and has since been cleared by an independent KC-led investigation. Newey's departure, which it's said that he can negotiate in time to work for another team next year, would mark a seismic shift at Red Bull, with the Brit a major factor in the team's success across almost 2 decades. The squad, though, remains tight-lipped. Adrian is contracted at least till the end of 2025. We are unaware of him joining any other team, said a Red Bull spokesperson. Haas driver Nico Hülkenberg has become the first mover for the Audi F1 project, with the German set to return to transitioning team Sauber from 2025 on a multi-year deal. Hülkenberg, who has rejuvenated his F1 career, first as a super sub for Racing Point turned Aston Martin, then as an impressive point scorer for Haas, was at the top of Audi's shopping list. And will next year return to Hinwil, where he last raced back in 2013 to begin work on the German manufacturer's first F1 car. Hülkenberg, who was well known to Audi, having won Le Mans outright with its VW Group stablemate Porsche in 2015, had long been interested in the brand's new works project, as he told the sports official podcast Beyond the Grid last year.
It's definitely, one of the very attractive projects right now and prospects for, a new brand coming into F1. Very exciting, a German manufacturer as well. People, that I've worked with and done really well before. Yeah, it all sounds really nice and good on paper. Obviously, I need to, put in the good work, keep driving convincing drives to maybe have a shot there. But only time will tell.
Carlos Sainz's manager, his cousin Carlos Onyoro, says that the juggling continues in sorting out the outgoing Ferrari drivers' options for the 2025 season and beyond, with a few balls currently in the air. Sainz has allegedly been given some more time to think about Sauber's big money offer to join the Audi project, but his manager, in a chat with official podcast F1 Nation, is giving nothing away on whether he's also been speaking with Red Bull or Mercedes.
Let's say it's an interesting period of time at the moment. The driver market has been all over the place lately, and I think we will see some movements in the upcoming weeks, but for the moment the juggling continues.
Sergio Perez says that he's fully committed to remaining in F1 long-term amid ongoing contract renewal talks with Red Bull, as the Mexican seeks to establish a similar tenure to Fernando Alonso. 2024 is Checo's 14th season at the pinnacle of motorsport, but while Red Bull has balked at a new 3-year deal, it's expected he will stay on at least into 2025, given his consistency in the first 5 races. At the end of the day, I've been in this sport for a long time, but I am only 34, and when you see drivers carrying on, we see longer careers these days, so I am still very fresh and very motivated, he said. Ferrari is set to go 2 shades of blue this weekend in Miami, with the legendary Italian marque celebrating its 70th anniversary in the American marketplace with a striking one-off livery tweak. Ferrari originally celebrated its lucrative 1964 breakthrough into the US market with special blue and white painted cars at the final 2 races of that season at Watkins Glen and Mexico. The Scuderia is going even bigger in 2024 given the milestone, with its cars, race suits and events in Miami colored with 2 historic blues seen on its supercars, Azzurro La Plata and Azzurro Dino. The use of Azzurro La Plata is a nod to Alberto Ascari, Ferrari's first F1 world champion, who went back-to-back in 1952 and 1953, with Azzurro Dino last used by Clay Regazzoni in 1974. Mercedes says its W15 car is too tricky and that its challenge over the coming races, starting from Miami, is to introduce upgrades that solve its troubling setup and balance issues. The Silver Arrow scored double points in China, its drivers in the top 10 for the 4th time in 5 races. But while technical director James Allison says it competently executed in Shanghai, he says the drivers are being held back from better results by their recalcitrant W15s.
We should frankly be making a car that is just not so tricky as the one we've got at the moment, which is causing the drivers to make very uncharacteristic errors. You know, we have two of the best drivers in the world, and locking up at the end of a straight into a hairpin is not in Lewis's sort of recipe book, and it's a consequence of the car being too tricky.
Aston Martin's reserve driver Stoffel van Dorn says the squad remains hopeful that the development potential of the AMR 24 and more effective upgrades will enable it to take a bigger step forward this year. The Green Team was one of the early stars of 2023, with 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso taking 6 podiums from the first 8 races, but its momentum dropped from Canada following a confusing update. But Van Dorn, who is not only an F1 reserve this year, but racing in the World Endurance Championship and Formula E, opened up to F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid on Aston Martin's plans.
The car that we have this year, what is a little bit different compared to last season is the platform, or the base car, gives us much more flexibility, I think, to develop it through the season. So hopefully, over the course of the season, we'll kind of bring some updates to the car, and we'll be able to see maybe bigger steps than what we've seen last year, where we brought a couple of updates and they didn't really work.
F1's power brokers have deferred their decision on whether to expand the sport's points-paying positions until its next commission meeting, ahead of the summer break in July. F1's top 5 teams have dominated the scoring so far, with 534 points to the bottom 5's 12. But a new system has been mooted, with Williams, Alpine and Sauber all on 0 after 5 rounds. It's proposed that 1st to 7th would remain the same, with 5 points for 8th, 4 for 9th, 3 for 10th, 2 for 11th and 1 for 12th. But the change needs 5 of the 10 teams to agree. The FIA stands to gain financially from a change, with its license fees for teams and drivers based on points scored. McLaren's Pato Award has inherited IndyCar's season-opening win on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, more than a month after the race, after Penske's Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin were disqualified for push-to-pass violations. It was discovered Newgarden and McLaughlin's Penske Chevrolet cars had illegally used push-to-pass boost on restarts after the software code was left enabled after a recent IndyCar hybrid test. All 3 Penske entries were fined $25,000 and also forfeited prize money from the race, though Will Power, who didn't use the system, was not disqualified and inherited 3rd place. Andretti's Colton Herta is IndyCar's current championship leader, following last weekend's race at Alabama's Barber Motorsports Park. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.